Actually, you know me as Aisha, the Yellow Power Ranger, and I am one of the co-owners of RangerStop and Pop. You got to come and hang out with me in Atlanta, Georgia, June 13th through the 15th. And I want to thank my friends at Blerdography for promoting the show. They are the best ever. Well, come and have fun. We're going to have Power Rangers and Power Rangers and more Power Rangers. You know why? It's Florida Day.
All right, and here we are. We are live. What's going on, everybody? It is me, Mark. Welcome back to a very special episode of BLERDKAST. Why is this episode so special? Because we are live for the first time on YouTube, and this is going to be a blast. I'm a little nervous, y'all. I'm a little nervous. But anyway, let's just jump into it.
Isn't it your second?
So what?
Isn't it your second?
No, that one was a test. I think, yeah, that one was a test. So this is the first official one.
I know, I'm just giving you crap. I have to give you crap because we were there for your test run. So
okay,
I'm obligated to give you some crap for that because it's fun. Sorry, Mark. Take it away.
You threw me off. Now where am I? All right. Now we got to start over again.
Go for it.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But what's going on, everybody? Welcome to BLERDKAST Live. This is the first time, so there's going to be some mistakes. Sorry, we're starting late, but we are here. We are in it. Before we begin, I would like to introduce my special guest for today. Immediately to my, I want to say my left here, I have from Anime Secrets, and my right, I have Anime Secrets. Riz and Nate, like to welcome them back. They'll be my co-host today. And down at my bottom right, that's my bottom right. Yep, I have Carnell Holley. Carnell Holley. I've been practicing that one too.
Go. Can you say RangerStop Pop?
Yes. Nope. We will not bring the devil in the house today. And our very special guest, our very special featured guest. You know her, you love her. She's been on the show so many times before in season 1 of BLERDKAST. I'd like to welcome back Miss Dana Morgan, aka Danique Cosplay. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, everyone.
This feels like Hollywood Squares.
I know.
It does feel like Hollywood Squares.
It does.
Yeah.
But this is BLERDKAST Live. This is episode 2 of our 6-part series with RSP, RangerStop and Pop Atlanta 2025. This is a very special episode that we are all working on together to help promote the con this year. And for the second episode, we invited Dana to come on because not only is Dana unique and everything that she does, she's also the director of registration and VIP for RangerStop and Pop 2025. So I figured, who else could we have on for about 30 minutes to an hour to talk about RangerStop and Pop? None other than the director of VIP and registration. So here we are. What's going on, everybody? I'm still a little nervous. I'm trying to get the butterflies out.
You're just talking with friends.
Just talk with us, man.
Keep that. Just
keep talking.
Yeah, just keep talking.
Yeah. just imagine you do not have people watching you talk aside from the people on the call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just think of it as a Zoom call. It's just the 5 of us talking.
Yeah. Don't worry about anyone else.
Zoom call. I will think of it like that. I'll try my best to do that. But Dana, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself since you know yourself better than everybody else?
Hello, everyone. For those that may or may not know me, I'm Dana, best known as Danique Cosplay. As Mark introduced, I am the director for registration and VIPs for RangerStop and Pop Atlanta. I'm also involved with RangerStop Orlando and many other cons. And then also, as you see it in my with my name, Danique Events. That's where you can see my photography and event planning there. So I have many hats. And then I have my own show, Moana Nui Podcast. And I am the assistant producer and graphic design for The Bop with Karen Ashley, Hilton George, and Christy Renee. Their show is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Yes, you are very, very busy. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, I do. So on the first episode, we had Mr. Ranger Stop and Pop with Mr. Chris Dunn.
Yeah.
Dana, you are very familiar with Mr. Chris Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
So is it fair that we call you or nickname you Mrs. Ranger Stop and Pop because of how involved you are with the con itself, Atlanta and Orlando, as well as the BOP podcast? Is it fair to say we can call you that?
That's fine.
Okay, so we have Mrs. Ranger Pop and Stop. Oh, there you go. Y'all put it in my head.
RangerStop and Pop Atlanta.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Mrs. Ranger Stop and Pop Atlanta, Miss Dana Morgan. First thing I want to ask you, just before we really get into the nitty-gritty of Ranger Stop and Pop, you, like you said, you run the BOP podcast for Karen Ashley and Hilton George and Christine. What is that like? How did you get involved with being a part of the BOP podcast, and just do you enjoy doing it? And how is it different from running the Juan Nui podcast?
It ended up happening. Of course, Karen has been on my show, and then of course working with her in the convention world. She's wanted to start her own show, and she came and approached me, and she was like, "Hey, I would love to have you part of what I'm trying to do." And I was like, "Okay, what are you looking to do?" And she was like, she kind of explained it, and I was like, "Okay, what are you thinking for your intro? What are you thinking for your outro? So we can go ahead and create that." And then it started from there. And we've been doing the show for over a year now. And it's talking about everything from movies to TV series to hot topics to politics. It is a wide range of conversation, but it is very centered on the Black nerd experience. And of course, we love the fact that occasionally we have our very special guest, David Fleming, best known as Zordon. He comes on the show ever so often, especially when we're talking Marvel, because he is a huge Marvel fan. So he comes on and join us to get into a little of the nerdy talk.
So
Wow, that's cool.
So real quick, Mark, you do have a fan watching live who is well known to Nathan and I. Give it up for Aka Eagle joining the stream, I guess, if you want to give a quick shout out to him.
Yes. Thank you for joining the live. What is his name? Aka Eagle?
Aka Eagle, you will love to hate him. We all do.
Aka Eagle. Okay. Welcome to BLERDKAST. Thank you for coming on. Please leave a like on the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Oh God, the YouTuber stuff just starts to roll off the tongue the more you do it.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Mark, right. I'm going to keep letting you know as comments come through that are interesting. Obviously not every single comment, but if it's something I feel like, oh, hey, we should talk about that real quick, I'll just jump in.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. So, like I said, we are here to talk about the final RangerStop and Pop that will be happening here in Atlanta, June 13th through the 15th, 2025 at the Omni Hotel downtown. Yep, that's right.
That is
Omni Hotel. So Mrs. RangerStop and Pop, since you are the VIP director and director of registration, why don't you take the lead and tell us a little bit about this year's con?
Well, this year, because it's the last one for Atlanta, we are going out with a bang. We are going to have so much, bringing in some guests, your familiar ones. But if you're following RangerStop and Pop on social media, they have announced some Power Rangers that have not come to the con yet. So you will get a chance to meet some of those Power Rangers. So it is one that we're planning on having a lot of fun and just having that great experience. Of course, there's the RangerStop in Orlando is still still going on. That's in November of every year. But this will be the last one for Atlanta.
and it's so unfortunate it's the last one because I feel like it just started. Like, to be
Yeah.
honest, I feel like it just started. All of the memories, meeting Nate and Riz and Carnell Holley there, and all the fun times that we had. So since you brought it up, that they've announced a few guests that have never been there before. Since you have a unique perspective, which we'll get into, um, who has the con announced that you're most excited for to see that you haven't worked with before at RangerStop Pop?
Let's see. As far as that has been announced that I haven't worked with, that I'm looking forward to, because they've only announced, the Power Rangers guest, and as far as like, the beautiful thing with Ranger Stop is those that get the titanium membership for the registration, those people help bring in these ultra special guests that we typically don't have, and it becomes a bringing so like we have Keith Robinson that is coming this year, who played Joel Rawlings in Power Rangers Light Speed Rescue. So he will be here as a titanium guest. So that is someone that is going to be new to Ranger Stop and Pop. We'll also have Erin Cahill. She will be there. She's best known as Jen Scott from Power Rangers Time Force. That she's coming, but she's also been on some other shows. If you're not a Power Ranger fan, you know her from Saving Grace and How I Met Your Mother, and even doing some being part of the Call of Duty franchise also. So, and Rebecca Chambers in Resident Evil Vendetta. So she's coming this year. So you're getting a few like I said, of the new Rangers that, like I said, that haven't been at Ranger Stop that has been announced. And of course you got some familiar faces like Karen Nakia and Stephen Cardenas. Johnny Young Bosch will be there. Walter Jones, Catherine Sutherland.
So didn't
go
we
ahead.
have Aaron Cahill 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think we did.
We did, because she came with font last minute, I believe, right?
Yes, she was the last minute one. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to ask because I thought I was tripping on where I saw Aaron last.
Yeah. Yeah, she was our last minute. So I'm announcing her as, one of the official early announcements one.
As we should, because Aaron Cahill is an absolute queen and deserves it.
Yes. So I want to give her kudos. And of course, we can't forget Bulk and Skull. Jason and Paul will be there this year too.
Well done.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yes, they are.
I just met Paul and Jason again in December at NostalgiaCon here in Houston, and they had a really fun panel.
Yes. Their panels are always a hoot. You're going to be laughing and so much more.
Yeah, if you guys have not seen it yet on Anime Secrets, check out our panel because it's a freaking fun time.
I'm just now seeing this. Riz, did you put a mark counter in the scroll?
Yes.
So every time I mess up on that one thing, you're gonna
yeah.
I got you.
Keeping you accountable.
That's fine. That is fine. We will just be at 1 this episode.
Look, man, I'm gonna keep the counter going and see how many we get this episode.
Okay.
All right. You are trolling me on my own show. All right.
Hey, I'm helping you because I put up the pretty photo of the RangerStop and Pop final year image without being told.
Wait, what?
You don't see the Instagram?
Yeah,
photo?
I see it. Yeah, I see it
without being told.
Okay.
Also, I do want to call out a quick comment in our YouTube from my staff member because it's on point for me and him and our staff. But Miguel from our staff is saying I'm really petty, which, yeah, you're right. And we do have a question if you want to take it, Mark.
Okay, let's go.
So Aka Eagle, also known as Mikey, is asking, have you guys seen the first episode of Go User yet?
We was gonna definitely talk about that.
I have not seen it yet.
Neither have I.
I was waiting for the good translation to drop, and as of earlier today, it hadn't dropped yet, so I'm waiting still.
Yeah.
Still watching Z.
So I watched about half of the first episode on TikTok, and it was basically the introduction of the Red Ranger, number one Sentai. That's probably going to be my favorite Sentai, and I know I say this at the beginning of every season, but the aesthetic of the show, how they're doing the fights, I see, because we've talked about this before in previous podcasts, how they kind of build layers from the different seasons, and in King Older, it all looks super green screen, but I see where they're going with using it here in number one Sentai Go Juju. I got to get used to saying that too. And I love it so far. Not a big fan of the morpher or the henshin device, but I get it. It's whatever, but we'll get there.
Yeah. No, we're going to be dropping an episode later on Tiku Secrets talking about Good User episode 1 once we have seen it. But our team is still kind of waiting to get our hands on the good translation because I'm tired of the bad translation.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Ask Nathan how much I complained and pre-show last night that we did for our recording.
Yeah, he lit up overtime subs pretty bad.
Yeah, it hurt. It really hurt. Because, you know what, Mark? I'm going to do a quick rant.
You have the floor.
So, I hate the way they translate it because it's Bakage Sentai Boom Boomzer, but this one subtitle group is really big on using the term cranked up in place of fired up. And cranked up to me just sounds really stupid. Or they also replace it with Bakage, which also annoys me to no end because it means two different things now. So I can't deal with that.
Yeah, there's been some occasions where I've been watching Sentai episodes with overtime subs, and my wife doesn't really like how they're translating things.
Yeah.
She just says it doesn't work that much.
Yeah.
I miss TV Nihon.
Is
I'm gonna
there,
say,
They're still around.
No, they're not around anymore. Because they stopped doing the uploads a long time ago. But I miss their translations. They kind of had it right with TVAshi.
We'll talk after the stream.
yo,
Yeah. Okay. Don't shoot me.
Ain't
Don't
no
shoot me. Say what?
What was that, Carnell?
Dana, does she watch? Dana, do you watch Sentai?
No, not quite. Like I said, just like my anime, I am behind on all shows.
Dana, you're going to get some homework from me right now.
Okay.
Your homework is going to be to watch Dragon Ball Daima. Because you mentioned before the show began that you have a Dragon Ball cosplay, meaning I think you're a Dragon Ball fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I want more people to talk to you about the latest episode because I'm still trying to process my thoughts on it.
Okay.
So I'm on a crusade to tell anyone I can who has any inkling of interest in Dragon Ball to
Oh,
drop everything you're doing to go watch it because I need somebody to talk to. No one's there yet.
Okay.
When is it drop for the dubbed episodes?
It started dropping, but they're only like on episode 2 or 3.
Where?
Crunchyroll, I think.
I don't see it on Hulu or Netflix yet.
Crunchyroll.
Roger that.
All right, so let's go ahead and get back on topic. RangerStop and Pop. You almost had me.
I almost had a number 2.
You almost had number 2. I had to stop myself. But Dana, since you have like insider information, outside of the guests, what is something new that we can expect from this year's RangerStop and Pop Atlanta?
Nothing I could really discuss yet. And all I have to wait for the official announcement. But of course, for those who've never been to Ranger Stop and Pop, there you have some different experiences than what you have at compared to other conventions. We have a kid zone for the littles to be able to have fun. Like last year, we had some of the Power Rangers doing karate demonstrations with the kids. Um, Learning to draw and draw different things. So that is great for the little ones. The classic for Ranger Stop and Pop for all attendees is the After Dark panel. You have to be 18 plus, no phones out, because it is a no holds bar conversation. People line up to get their questions asked, to learn some of the secrets, the behind the scenes, everything with Power Rangers. So that is a very popular show. Part of the show we have. We do have a cosplay contest for those that love to cosplay. We have gaming tournaments also, but we have for our VIPs, anyone that is a VIP member, whether it's a silver, gold, or all the way to titanium, we have a special VIP party. That is a special and unique experience, which the VIPs get to have dinner with the guests, play games with them, and get the most exclusive experience with the celebrities at the VIP dinner. So it is legendary. It's yeah, it is very, it is definitely well known, and people try to snag up those tickets and have that experience with that. So it's like I said, it's you and the other VIPs having dinner, and like I said, playing games like 1 year of trying to do musical chairs and trying to see how many people, you're trying to race, Rory, Travis, Red Ranger, and Walter E. Jones, and all of them to get the last chair and stuff like that. So you're seeing bumping people and everything, everybody trying to get the last chair. So it is, it's a unique experience you don't see at any of the cons, that you get to have that unique experience with the guests outside of, going to their booth and getting your picture taken and getting autographs.
So that's really good. I'm happy you brought that up. That's what make RSP unique. So my next question to you is, in your opinion, how else is RSP unique versus other conventions? Because we talked about this in depth on our last episode about RSP, and we all had different reasons of what make that convention so special.
Mhm.
So since you are actually on the inside of the con, I just want to know, in your own opinion, what makes the con special to you?
What makes it special to me is, for me, it's kind of like these little reunions, because at conventions you meet up with your friends and stuff, but Ranger Stop and Pop and Ranger Stop in Orlando, it's a totally different feel. Like, with me being staff, like the number of times I will see attendees that attend every year, and as soon as they spot me, they're like, "Dad!" I'm like, "Who's calling me? Who's calling?" And I've had some of the VIPs like, "Dana, you worked hard this weekend. I'm buying you a shot at the VIP dinner." I'm like, "You're the 20th person that's offered me a shot. I do want to wake up tomorrow." So I'm like, I appreciate it. I will take a couple of them, but I'm not taking shots from all of you, because I will have to be escorted with a wheelchair out of the VIP dinner.
So here's your solution. You tell them to all go quarters in on one slot. So 4 people per slot. So they each put a quarter in or whatever.
Okay. All right. I'm using that this year.
You're welcome. Don't ask me why I have this advice so readily available.
Right. I'm like,
But it's awesome. Like, you'll walk around, especially like the VIPs. They shout out, the different staff members. And of course, they have a deep appreciation for the staff because majority of our staff are Power Ranger fans. And so they also know what it is to be a Power Ranger fan, to want to have that fun and unique experience. And another aspect for me for Power Rangers, it's not as I will say stiff as most cons. You see the guests, like as soon as they finish with their booth, they're walking around in the hallway. There's no handler, there's no security. They're just walking, and if someone say hi to them, like, "Hey, how you doing?" They yell. It's not one of those like, mm-mm. Like you see at some other conventions. So for a lot of the guests, that is their fun con, is RangerStop, because they get to let their hair down. They get to have fun at the VIP dinner and just cut up and have fun with, some of the attendees. And it's special to them too. So I definitely appreciate that aspect, because it really gives a unique experience for the Power Ranger fans, and even our pop culture fans that come that may not be a Power Ranger fan, but they get to enjoy our pop culture guests that come too.
Yeah. I think one thing I want to add on to that, Dana, if you don't mind, is so you're correct. It's all about a family feeling, right? Like the Rangers coming in, it's like a family reunion for them because they all worked on the show together, or they all have that bond of being a Ranger. But you hit on something that I think I want to expand on a little bit, and that's the fan interaction with the Rangers. And I think it goes even beyond just RangerStop and Pop at that point, because when they see us at RangerStop and they see us somewhere else, they're like, "Oh, hey, you're at RSP, right?"
Yes.
Because that happened to me with Kat Sutherland and Karen. They know me now. When I went to Houston NostalgiaCon, Kat and I talked for like maybe 10, 15 minutes, just cutting up, because she knew me and she was getting to me all the updates of my life, and we were talking about all that, and she really took an interest in it. And I think the thing that really kind of sunk it in is it wasn't just like the main headliners you have every year, even like the other Rangers that we see maybe once in a while. It's that bond. And I think that's very unique in the Ranger community with the Rangers, that they remember some of the fans a lot more than other actors might. I'm not going to name names of who, but I met another actor last year at a con, and I saw him again this past weekend. Didn't know who I was, didn't remember me or anything, but I tell you, if there's a Ranger, they probably would have remembered.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference in just interest in the community a little bit more,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys, Carnell, Nate, if you guys have had that experience as well in your goings with Rangers or other actors in your experiences out there.
I think it's more so repetition for my case, because I don't think I made such a impression. It's like, oh yeah, I remember you from last year and such. But I mean, the rotation of different cons to different feels and having that FaceTime is just like, oh yeah, weren't you so and so? But definitely RangerStop and Pop has that family feel.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you real quick one question. It's not on my list, but I just gotta know. I'm being a little messy when I ask this. Who's your favorite VIP that you interact with at RangerStop and Pop?
Don't answer, it's a trap.
Because when I hear VIP, I think of like people who get the VIP badges and stuff versus guests. So are you referring that, or are you referring more guests that attend the VIP dinner?
I'm referring to actual cast members, but if you want to take it and actually go attendees, that's good too.
Well, the attendees, especially our regulars, they're always a a good time. They always check in. So I can't pick just one. But as far as guess wise, I have to I have to go with a top 5 aspect of Power Rangers and then of pop culture guests.
That's fine. That's fair.
Yeah, outside of my Karen and the kid, I love y'all. Uh, Johnny Young Bosch, of course, he has a great rapport with his guests, with his attendees, whether they're kids, whether they're adults, and even as far as his staff members. Roy Travis is another one. He's so high energy. He keeps that energy going for anyone that's on a panel, anywhere he's at. He's keeping that energy. He's dancing, everything else. He's just like making sure everybody's having a good time, and everything. So Roy Travis is another one. Of course, Bulk and Skull. you cannot laugh with them around, and they just give that fun aspect, and to find like they have the two of them have such a good friendship, like it extended outside the show, and they still feed off of that same energy from the show when they're at cons. It's just like this beautiful energy. So of course, I love seeing them whenever they come to let's see, and so yeah, so that and then of course David Yost, he's another one that he's really at RangerStop spending time with the kids, everybody, and it's just great to see that rapport. And then I have to he's another great one to work with and everything. Now on my pop culture side, Chris Sabbath, he's one, and my experience with him was so hilarious because RangerStop always have, for the most popular guests and also Power Rangers, the overflow line. And this was that year he came. It was in 2023. He thought nobody was coming to see him, so he was just spending as much time with the attendees that were at his booth, because he was like, there's only 5 people in line. I want to spend, chit-chatting and everything. And I come and I speak. And he was just like, yeah, I'm just enjoying myself. I'm like, sir, you have a whole line. He's like, no, I don't. I was like, follow me. And I show him. He's like, oh, crap. Let me hurry. And he had a line all the way down the hallway. But he literally thought no one came to see him. So he was like, I have these 5 fans here. I want to just shoot the breeze and just really, let them enjoy the time. And it was so funny. He really thought nobody came to see him.
I can see that, given how the convention was laid out that year. It was hard to tell where the lines were.
Yeah. And he didn't have, a line control person to kind of say, okay, next person kind of thing. So, yeah. So that was fun. But he, made sure everybody had, a great experience with him and everything. Of course, and I forgot to say with my Power Rangers, of course, Jason David Frank, he had a standing rule of every person who is in line, he makes sure he stays. And the very last convention he came to for RangerStop before we lost him later that year, the convention hall closed at like I think it was 7. He stayed until 11 p.m. until the last person in line was seen. And he always had that rule. And I have much respect, because a lot of people like, the hall's closed, see you tomorrow. But he was like, nope, if you're in line, he makes sure he sees every person before the line gets cut off because the show hall is going to close. But if they're in line and they've been in line for hours, he's making sure he sees them. So I had so much respect for him because of that. And then another pop culture is having the live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guest there, because literally they're cutting up with the attendees. I was like, I wanted to take a picture, and Shredder was like, all right, we're going to do this. And he poses to kick, and then the actor that played Raphael, he's flying backwards. So it was just like they kept that cinematic energy for pictures and stuff. But then on top of that, they were like, you know what time it is? It's pizza time. And they ordered pizza, and people who were in the line, they were letting them get slices while they were eating pizza at the booth. So it was just, yeah. So that whole team, of course, it was just, great energy. They were really nice. And the director for the live action movies, he was doing free autographs for everybody and answering any questions about the movie in his mind. So it was really cool having them there that year too. That year also. So, and my final pop culture guest, we had, can't believe I can't remember his name. He is the composer that wrote the Power Ranger original theme song.
Ron Wasserman? Ron Wasserman?
Yes. And he also wrote the original X-Men animated series song. And the fact that he told us that he had to write the X-Men theme song in a couple hours, they asked him to put it together. That's why there's no lyrics. He just did music and turned it in, and they were like, all right, it's going on the show. So he wrote that in a couple hours, the X-Men theme song, and did the music himself. So the fact that a lot of the classic animation series, he's behind the music and so much more. It's just like, yeah. And hearing the stories of those times of like creating that music and those iconic songs that we grew up with. Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm happy that you have like so many like stories that you can share, because again, you have such a unique perspective by what you do with RSP. With that said, I just want to know, and I'm sure my audience wants to know, what is it like being the director of registration and VIP? What is a day in the life of your schedule during a con? And I know like planning a convention is like a year-round thing. So yeah. You're always in meetings with Karen and Nakia and the rest of the staff. So what is your personal experience like being involved with RSP?
RSP, because last year was the first year I took on the director role for registration and VIPs previously. Hey, Chris.
What's going on, Chris?
Another amazing
How
one.
you doing, Chris?
Chris, click the link in our group chat. Join us.
Yes, come join us, Chris. When I joined RSP, of course, it was in its early stages. So I came on because they were needing photographers, because I'm a photographer. So I photographed the convention. And then it kind of just evolved. Like I helped with the RangerStop RSP Lounge. And then I for RangerStop Orlando, doing their prep, being over press for them. And then one year I was over the panel rooms and the panels. And then last year they were like, hey, we'll love for you to be over registration and VIPs, because we want people to have a positive experience coming into RangerStop and having, a place that they feel like they can ask questions and stuff. So that was my focus last year, of kind of, as everybody came in to pick up their badges, they had a positive experience with me and my volunteers there. And that's what we're looking for this year, is continue to have that positive experience. And because registration is the first people you typically work with as far as the volunteers when you first arrive, because you're coming to get your badge. So that can make or break your con experience based on your experience. So I want to make sure every person, whether they're a regular attendee or if they're a VIP, they all feel special and they feel like they're heard and everything. Now, even though I will let y'all know, we will hear you, does not mean everything everything will be answered. And of course, we take your feedback seriously, but some of it, unfortunately, it may not happen, but we do hear you. And I want you to know that we do hear you, but a lot of stuff, it's, a lot of things can't happen. Like, I know some people will want certain guests to come, and it's like, RangerStop, we don't have the budget. We'll love to have every guest y'all suggest, but it like any con, money plays a part. But then at the same time, whoever we have, we want you to have fun and enjoy the guests that are there. And thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I see something in the comments. Chris, did Chris donate something or send something? Is that what I'm seeing?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. So you brought up that you kind of every year jump from one position to another position. As far as doing registration, you're over press for RangerStop Orlando. You've done so many other things with this convention. What has been your favorite role that you've just enjoyed doing, or is it kind of like you just enjoy whatever it is you're doing because you're just amazing at everything you touch?
It's one of those that whether it's RangerStop or another convention, I got to bring 100% to whatever I'm doing, whether it's capturing photos, of course, working, if I work with press, making sure they have a positive experience and making sure, we're getting everything set up and it worked, and being respectful of the guest time and keeping things on schedule and stuff like that. But then also, when I did the panel room for the main panel room for RangerStop and Pop 2023, it was one that I was like, hey, after every panel, I made sure everybody on the panel, I got pictures of them, because that was something I realized a lot of guests like, hey, we never get a picture of all of us on the panel together if someone doesn't take it. So I'm like, hey, it's the photographer in me. I'm like, okay, do that. And then also make sure I do one that we have everybody in the audience stand up and they're in a group photo with them so they could post it on social media. And so then, of course, they were like, Dana, you started something that we have to make sure whoever took over this, because you're going to registration, is going to keep up. I was just like, hey, this also gives the guests something they want, because they want to post it while they're there that weekend. And if they don't have someone to take the picture for them, they lose that moment to be able to share. And then, of course, a lot of attendees love that when they post it and they post a picture with all the audience behind them. They're like, that's me in the third row, second person on the right.
It's really cool. We attended some of the panels last year and recorded them for YouTube. And it was really fun being able to take photos, like, a selfie with the cast.
Yes.
Most notably, it was really packed for the Cosmic Dino Fury panel. Oh my God.
Almost ran me over trying to get in the photo.
Nate?
Got it, Nate. You got it.
Yeah, Nate was about to steamroll some people, man. I don't know what was going on there.
That's just how I am.
Look, Carnell, I don't know if you know this, but in a other life, I think Nate played football, so you better watch out.
Hey.
I did play football in middle school, dude. So
in that case, okay, I didn't know.
I was just really good at dodgeball.
If you can
So
dodge
then,
a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball.
So Dana, let me ask you. You mentioned how you got on to do the BOP podcast with Karen. Was it the same steps with how you got on with RSP? Was it kind of the same thing, or was that a different experience getting on with RSP for the first time?
I would say similar because Karen recruited me for both. She asked me because she had worked with me with Dragon Con and then also at BlerdCon, and then she was just like, "Hey, I so like even though you're doing photography or you're doing press, they were like the way you make sure the guests are good when you're working with them, even though you're not guest relations, you're not their handler." And I was like, that's I'm like, I remember the first Dragon Con I saw Karen at, I was photographing the panel and she got there early before her panel because that's how she is. She wants to get there, make sure she got her understanding of what's going on and everything. And then I went up to her and I was like, do you need any AV to make sure for projector screen? She was like, no. I was like, do you need some water or anything? And she was like, thank you for asking. And I was like, you're welcome. I'll go grab you some water. But it's one of those, it's just like, hey, just that little bit of kindness. A lot of guests really appreciate it. Like that may not be my quote unquote job because I'm not the guest relations or handler, but it's one of those, we all make sure a con works and operates properly. So yeah, I wanted to make sure for that. And then that's after that, she asked me the next year she saw me, she was like, hey, I have this convention called RangerStop Pop that's in Atlanta, and I'd love for you to be part of it. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And that's when she told me about it. And I was like, okay, I'll be happy to come aboard as one of your photographers. And that's how I did it. And then, like I said, for the BOP, she did the same thing. She was like, hey, Data, I'm about to start this show. I'd love to be part of it. I'm like, okay.
So what is it like working with Karen Ashley and Nakia Breeze?
It is it's a lot of fun working with the both of them. Both of them kind of handled their different aspects, but I love the energy that they bring, and because of them not only being guests and being a Power Ranger, they're bringing I think because of that aspect with them, that's what brings that different look and feel for RangerStop versus other conventions, because they understand and see what their fans experience when they come to conventions when they're at other conventions. And it's like, okay, love this, but it's like, okay, I want more for our fans. And that's what they were able to bring with RangerStop and Pop.
100%. I think they definitely have brought a unique experience to the con experience that you're definitely not going to get anywhere else. Not at Dragon Con or MomoCon.
Yeah.
AWA. Like you might get lucky and run into somebody in the crowd because a lot of the guests are also big nerds too, so they want to go see the cosplay events and things like that. You might be able to run into Nicole Brown of Cobra Kai at a Dragon Con or something just because she's a nerd. But at RangerStop and Pop, oh my God, almost slipped out again. But at RangerStop and Pop, it's almost like
you can see Riz was like, yeah.
I was about to go to the counter. I was ready.
Getting no more counting tonight. But RSP has such a unique experience. It's like Chris Dunn said it in our first episode that it's almost like you're just around a bunch of friends and family.
Yes, very much.
Either you're going to meet new friends and family there, or you already know half the people that are going to be there. Me personally, like nearly my entire audience goes to RangerStop and Pop, and every year we just hang out and just enjoy being in each other's geeky company. And then we'll run up into the one year, like I said, Nicole Brown, she was just coming to RSP that one year, and we was just standing there, and he was like, yes, we got to get pictures and just talk to her because like we're all at a Power Rangers con and we're all here to see Power Rangers, and none of us knew she was a Power Ranger nerd until we saw her walk up and was like, I can't wait to go see Karen and all that. So that was a really fun experience. RSP, unlike any other conventions, it is a smaller con compared to say your Mobile Con and Dragon Con. But like the impact that it has had on the community here in Atlanta, the positive impact, like there's only been nothing but positives. The fact that everyone looks forward to it every year, even at MomoCon, when I run into any Ranger guest that's going to be at RSP, we're just instantly start talking about RSP and forget we're at MomoCon.
Yeah.
So it's something special about this convention that's very special to everybody that attends it. And I just implore you, if you've never gone to RangerStop and Pop Atlanta,
Yes,
please go. Like, this is the last year. I'm again, excuse my Japanese, I am freaking heartbroken that it's the last year. Like, I want it to be so much more than what it is, but this is what we have. With that said, with it being the last year, what is something personally that you want to see, Miss Dana, at this year's RSP?
Of course, I want people to show up and really take it in, because there's been a lot of love, sweat, and tears that Karen, Nakia, and Mikey has put into making RangerStop and Pop happen for these past few years and stuff. And I know a lot of people have asked, like, okay, what is going to happen with RangerStop and Pop? You know, will somebody take over it, everything else? And we have had a lot of people wanting to make offers and everything. Mikey, what is being asked? Someone asked, who's Mikey? Mikey is the other co-owner of RangerStop and Pop Atlanta, but he is the owner of RangerStop Orlando.
He's Mikey Bueni. Is that how you say it?
Buoni.
Buoni.
Okay. Yes. But yes, so RangerStop and Pop Atlanta is not going anywhere. It's just Karen, Nakia, and it's just, of course, with everything that's going on with shows and, you know, voice acting and being directors and things like that. It's just a lot, because a lot of people, until you get involved with cons, you don't realize how much work and how much you have to do year long for a convention. So it's one of those that they're like, okay, we got to, you know, we got it to the momentum it needs to be. Now, like, you know, someone else can take the reins. So we're, you know, they're definitely having those conversations, and then hopefully over the next few months or so, hopefully we'll, you know, they'll be able to announce who will be the person to, you know, take that on. But I know at least we will have Orlando in November, which I love, because I'm like, so many conventions go on between April and August. It's just like boom, 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 boom. So the fact that Orlando is always in November, I'm like, you know, a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, I'm like, okay, yeah. Or it's usually a week or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I'm like, yeah, let's get that in before I hit the holiday season.
and one thing I want to kind of expand on, Dana, from just my own personal background with, you know, years of working with cons like you, I think you'll agree with me that Karen and Nakia have probably, if they were running a 2027 con, or no, sorry, 2026, we're in 2025 right now. If you're planning a con for 2026 and this wasn't the last year, then chances are that sometime around April, they've switched gears from planning 2025 to begin planning for 2026. So whatever a convention is doing for that year, that doesn't mean that that's all they're working on right now. Yeah. So when I used to work
They're
on,
handling 2 cons at one time.
or even more, because
Mhm.
it depends on the contract, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm going to use Karen and Nakia because that's the topic right now. But let's say Karen and Nakia had a 3-year contract with the Omni.
Yeah.
They're planning 3 years ahead in terms of content, panels, guests, finances. Finances being the biggest one because they have to keep making the con successful enough to break even to afford
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
Because if you don't afford next year, then Karen and Nakia have to go into the hole, put in
Yeah.
personal money to afford the next year.
Exactly.
So and on top of that, you have to also think about it from Karen and Nakia's point of view a little bit. They are actresses that travel to a good number of cons every year on
Yes.
weekends.
Yes.
So whatever day job they have, or if they have a day job, I don't quite know their personal life, but like that.
Yes.
The weekends are when a con owner and their staff will sit down and really put in the time for a con. And so if they're not able to put in the weekends because they're at other events promoting themselves, getting the word out about Power Rangers and their other works that they're doing, then they don't necessarily have a chance to really sit back and plan for 2026 that easily. So
Yes.
chances are they're running on fumes year in, year out, trying to make Ranger Stop and Pop happen for you, happen for the fans, and make something where they can bring together some Power Ranger guests that they can meet the fans, let the fans have an interaction with the Ranger, make some money for themselves because it is about the Rangers also getting some supplemental income as well. We can't mince words about that, but there is
Yeah.
an aspect of the fandom need that they're trying to fill, and so you got to imagine all of that stuff on 2 human beings with, from what I understand, is a very small con staff. You're not more than 10 people from what I've heard, right? So
As far
you,
as staff,
yeah,
no, we started off with 10, but we've grown more than that.
okay, but yeah, I think the point's still there that you guys have a lot on your plates, and
Mhm.
them trying to do this full time for years to come is just not
Yes.
tenable anymore. But Mikey, he's not a celebrity, and
Yes.
he can afford to do it for Orlando easier than Karen and Nakia can for Atlanta. And I think that perspective is very important to kind of bring out and to say, like, hey, there's more to Ranger Stop and Pop than the weekend that we're all there. There's literally a year and a half of prep and planning and all that stuff that
Mhm.
goes into it.
Contracts and so much more.
And the contracts are never easy because you got to deal with different agents from different companies, and certain agents put in certain stipulations, and you got to keep track of, okay, what do we promise Aaron Cahill that's different than what we promise like Bulk and Skull, for example. So they
Mhm.
got to keep track of all of that stuff, make sure they're promising all the contracts are all different. Some guests have guarantees, some guests don't.
Yes.
So it's really a full-time job, and I have been telling Nate on the down low, like, I don't understand how they've been doing it for that long. I've only been coming to RangerStop for 2 years, but um, just kind of observing it for the 2 years I have been coming, it's run well, but I couldn't
Mhm.
figure out how they've been doing it because they have so many other commitments. And sorry, I've
Yes.
been going on this little soapbox for a while, but I think it's really important for the fans to understand
Mhm.
kind of the backstory of what is a life of a convention staff, convention owner really like,
Yes.
because there's a lot of things that the fandom doesn't really think about, especially when they get really upset and uppity about, oh, well, they didn't bring certain guests, they didn't, the panel ran late, the panel ended early, the cosplay contest starting late, all the typical complaints we have for a con, but you guys don't think about what is going on at the con side, what is the con staff dealing with, and
Mhm.
so I get on the soapbox every couple of years on a stream. I just kind of air my business out about it. So sorry for the hijack there, Dana.
No worries. Yeah, it's a great perspective for a lot of people to see because whether it's a small convention or a large one like MomoCon and DragonCon, they're run, majority of them are run by volunteers. And then you have your core staff members who are working on it year round with the con owners. and it's just, yeah, it's a lot of lot of stuff to make things happen. And you know, Ranger Stop is, you know, a younger con. Ranger Stop and Pop is a younger con versus like a MomoCon who's celebrating 20 years this year. So it's one of those that it's that continuous growth and everything. And I'm looking forward to, as it continues to grow and everything, and whoever decides to take over Atlanta to really, you know, elevate it to the next level, because they, you know, it as much love that Karen and Nakia brought in it, you need more aspects of like a Mikey that can handle it more year round, and not have those demands of, you know, being an actress. And you know, both of them do directing and Karen does voice acting. So it's like they got a lot of other stuff going on along with all the guest appearances they do for conventions. So yeah.
Yeah. And real quick, I do want to call out Dark Barcode Warrior saying hi, Mark.
Yeah, I see. I was about to bring that up too. What's going on, Dark? Dark is, well, quick shout out. Dark has followed me everywhere on the internet, and he's a huge Kamen Rider fan, but he loves Super Sentai and Power Rangers. So shout out to Dark Barcode Warrior. If you guys can, go give him a shout. Go give him a look. Go give him a subscribe. He's everywhere on the internet.
Oh man, I got a question, because I got
Okay.
cut out. So I'm listening to everything you're saying, because the words can kind of get a little, or at least for me, I get confused sometimes. So this being the final one, but what you mentioned, not to misquote you, for is it not going anywhere. So being the final one with Karen and Nakia at the range, but what it's looking like somebody else take it over, and life can continue on, and we don't have that. But my question as far as because I've had this experience, and it was like being so jazzed up about RangerStop, and it's like, oh man, there's RangerStop Orlando and there's RangerStop and Pop Atlanta. I was in I think South Carolina, and I just started thinking like, yo, what if RangerStop South Carolina was here? So different. It's like such a vibe, because you you're such a wealth of knowledge. Mark can attest to this, because he's had the pleasure of speaking Hilton, who is a voice on the Pop, who's also a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just thinking like with your experience with conventions, like have you thought, or are any plans for the future of having your own con?
Oh my god, the con would be amazing.
A lot of people have asked me that before. When and if I hit the mega billions, that I could quit my full-time job to focus on that. But as far as it's like, I know I don't have all the information yet, because I gather different information on cons of each of the ones I work with. I see the good, the bad, and ugly for all of them. Of course, Momo is one of my favorites as the big conventions, because it's just, yeah, it the way it's operated and how it runs, it you know, it shows why it's 20 years and it's at the Georgia World Congress Center. But it's one of those that it really helps me get perspective. So it allows me that, you know, working with a younger convention like RangerStop and Pop, it allows me to be able to bring some of that knowledge base that I got from some of these other conventions and help elevate the experience from what I acquired from other conventions. Now, me having my own, I've had different ideas thrown at me from people. And they were like, oh, yeah, they've told me and my co-host, y'all need to do a Moana Nui a con, because they said because our show has such a variety of content and information, they were like, this would be great, in an in-person aspect. I'm like, yeah, okay. Once again, I hit that Mega Millions. I can have the finances covered that I don't have to like worry about, okay, are we gonna, go on the red, am I getting enough sponsors and stuff? Sponsors would just be the icing on the cake because I at least have like my guests covered and stuff.
To the green. We want to be in the green.
Yes. But if I did, start something, I wanted as not quite a convention, but I wanted a kind of a music aspect of a convention, like having kind of like a festival, but both concerts and panels and stuff, and you're having those music guests that you get to talk to. So that is something I would love to do when I hit the Mega Millions.
Now, one question for Mark, Nate, and Carnell, because I know Dana and I probably know the answer, but I want to see if y'all can kind of guess it. How much do y'all think Dana would need to have in the bank to even begin running a con?
Oh, I actually know the answer because of another convention from last year that will not be named.
I know which one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, but from that investigation, depending on the number of guests you're gonna have and what kind of connections you can get, you're gonna need at least 70 to 100,000 in the bank, and that's to cover venue costs, to cover the basic stuff, to cover advertising and promotion, all those little leaflets that Karen be passing out, and everything that you got to pay for all that stuff. The graphic designer, the photography, the videographer, those are things you have to have in house. Again, the venue space alone, I cannot tell you how important it is to make sure you have your venue space covered before your con starts the week of. That's all I'm saying about that.
This sounds like a personal call out, Mark.
I'm not calling nobody out. I'm just saying, make sure you have your vendor space together before the week of the con start. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Is that all you're saying, Mark?
Oh, he's saying a lot more than that. He's saying a lot more than that. And look, I'm just gonna say, Mark, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get it.
Wait. And then insert Hilton with his knowledge. Of course, it's like, when one con fails, it's a failure on all the cons.
Yeah.
You've been watching my videos.
I do. I don't just like, okay, let me just like it, like
okay, all right, call me out. Let's do that. But no, Dana, if you start a con, I have the perfect name for you. Since we're calling back my old episodes, you should call it Sunshine Con, because that's your nickname that the late great Stan Lee gave you. So that's the name of your con. You already know you got Hilton, George, and BLERDKAST. He's gonna come down and teach you whatever you need to know about running a convention. I'm sure Karen and Nikia will love to just be a guest because they kind of owe you one, to be honest. And Tony Cade, he runs his con, challenges games, comments. Shout out to his con, Atlanta Sapphire and Fantasy Expo. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. The people you have in Atlanta to put in place to run your Sunshine Con. So whenever you get that 100K in the bank.
I will say, I was thinking of calling it DanaCon because it's just a perfect name. It's just short, simple, and also our fan from Tik Secrets has also been trying to say it in chat, but I'm like, I guess I'll give him a little spotlight here for him to have a chance to be up here.
Yes. And I saw he asked, he's like, she met Stan Lee for some major. To answer, yes. I got to work with him my very first con. Backstory, which Mark knows, my current boss and one of my executives gave me a stretch goal to like expand my photography and was like, you should apply for a convention. I'm like, I don't have any experience. They were like, well, why don't you attend a convention and see what's like? So I decided to attend Wizard World when it came to Atlanta that year in 2014. And I was taking pictures, and some of the Marvel staff members that was there went back to the con and was like, hey, she's taking some really good pictures. Because if I took a picture, I was like, hey, do you want me to tag you? Do you want me to share the pictures with you? And I will do that day. And so then the staff members for Wizard World came to me and was like, hey, we're short on some photographers. Would you like to photograph the convention? I'm like, okay, what would it entail? They were like, hey, you'll be assigned to certain guests to photograph. You guys stay, of course, professional. Don't, fangirl, fan guy. And I was like, okay, yeah, I do that. My full-time job. Cool. And originally I was supposed to be assigned to the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at that time, but then their filming got moved up, so they had to leave early, so they were only there for a day. And so they were like, well, for the guests that had to cancel because of their schedules, we have these guests that are coming. And they let the photographers pick who they were going to pick. But there was one guest they wouldn't name. They just said it was a guest, and no one would pick that guest. So I was like, I'm the newbie. I'll take that guest. So they told me what time to be there. And when I got there, they're like, let's take you to introduce you to your guest. And as I get walked behind the stage, they were like, Dana would like to introduce you to your guest, Mr. Stan Lee. Stan Lee, this is Dana. I'm like, of course, inside of me, I'm like, my first guess is God. But Stan he was known to whoever he works with, you get a nickname, and Sunshine was my nickname that whole weekend that I worked with him. But he was amazing. He is very notorious of shaking off his handlers and trying to sneak off in the con. He's done it at Dragon Con, and he's done it at other cons that I've gotten to work see him at. So but yeah, amazing guy, very sweet, very down to earth, loves to cut up and everything. And my favorite is if he sneaks around the con and someone was like, oh my gosh, I love your Stan Lee. He was like, oh my gosh, thank you. It took me a whole year to find the exact match polo that he was wearing in Spider-Man. And these khakis, the exact RGB color of his khakis. They were like, what? I'm like, he's like, yes. I had to make sure it was screen accurate. And we're just like, sir, if you don't stop. But he literally would be like that. And people like, they'll take pictures with like your Stan Lee's amazing. And then they find out a little bit later, yeah, you actually took a picture with Stan Lee.
I'm so jealous of that story. I didn't even know the extra stuff. That was just new for me personally. Yeah. I gotta stop being jealous of my guest stories. Everybody has so many better stories than me. Well, this has been fun. We have reached the end of the show, everybody. Carnell Holley already had to step out because people work overnight. But yes. I get it. But before we go, a couple of final thoughts that I had while we were sitting here having some fun. First thing I wanted to ask, so we talked about Power Rangers a lot, about the convention itself, but I just want to know, since we're all Power Rangers fans, what color Ranger would you be, and what what Power Ranger would you want to be if you could become a Power Ranger?
For me, my first Power Ranger I adored, of course, was the yellow Power Rangers, going from Trini on to Karen, because both of them they kicked butt, they took some names, everything like that. And I'm sorry, as I know, as much as everybody loved Kimberly, I'm sorry, I couldn't stand her. I couldn't stand her character at all. I was like, she got on my nerves. But I just love the energy that the Yellow Rangers, and of course Blue Rangers were always a close second for me, because Billy show the nerdy, cool aspect. Yeah, you were smart. You helped and everything, and you did a lot of stuff to make the team and all the missions work. So yeah, so if I had to be color, I will be a Yellow Ranger, because all the Yellow Rangers that I have seen, they've always been, they're totally kick butt, including our newest Yellow Ranger that was in Once and Always. Yes, she's a sweetheart.
Yes, Charlie Kirsch.
Yes.
Charlie Kirsch. She's amazing. I got the
Yes,
interview
she
her
is.
last year. I wish I had known Yellow was your favorite Ranger, because that's like, I made that promo last week and I was like, okay, you're wearing pink. Let me use Kimberly for your Ranger morph. And I was like, I wish I should have just asked
Mark,
you.
Mark. Hold up. We're gonna call this lady Sunshine, and you ain't gonna think yellow?
I wasn't even thinking about the Stan Lee story when I made it. I was just like, make the promo. She's wearing pink Ranger.
But real quick, to answer your question, Mark, I think me and Nathan can summarize it in one photo. That's us in the middle, the two of us.
Ah, nice.
So, yeah, just a quick explanation of that.
Okay. And what about you, Mark?
Okay. I wasn't expecting me to answer. I'm gonna be honest. Everybody knows my favorite Ranger, obviously, Austin St. John, First Mighty Morphin, Jason Lee Scott character. There we go. Jason Lee Scott from Mighty Morphin. But someone new has taken that throne from him, and it's from the Sentai. I'm gonna have to be Gokai Silver, but like my own variation, because the character Guy from Gokaiger, like, he was a fanboy. I'm a fanboy of Power Rangers. He's a fanboy of Super Sentai. So he joined the team knowing the entire history of the team and showing them a thing or two about their powers. And something like that just really resonated with me, because again, I'm a fanboy. I know a lot about the series, both the Japanese and the American. And if I had an opportunity to be a Ranger, I would want to be literally every Ranger and show the current Ranger team a thing or two, like Guy did in Gokaiger. Yeah. So I would go there.
Yes, Chris is right. We did for 2023, we decided to do some of the staff members and some others. We did Hawaiian versions of the Ranger, Power Rangers uniform, as a shirt that Chris found. And yes, I was the Yellow Ranger.
I'm assuming Chris was blue, because I've never seen him wear any other color that's not blue.
And the 2 years I've seen Chris walking around the cons, I've never seen him without blue either, actually. That's a good point.
Yes.
I guess, Nate, we can answer a quick question from our fan. Do you want to actually answer this? Do you want to keep him in suspense until tomorrow night?
Yeah, just wait until tomorrow, Aki. I mean, Aka, you've got a little bit of time.
It's a running gag.
Huh? Yes, Chris said, yes, I was blue.
Okay.
And Aka said he would want to be Captain Marvelous, which both me and Mark got to meet him at MomoCon last year.
Oh my
actually,
God. I love that one.
So fun story, Dana. Aka and I have also met Captain Marvelous here in Houston area. Aka lives in the vicinity of Houston, so he came out to NostalgiaCon, took his spirits and brought him down over there. So we got to meet him. But I will always lord it over Aka Eagle that while he got to meet Captain Marvelous, I had dinner with Captain Marvelous.
Ooh.
So
I did not have dinner with him. The only people I had dinner with outside of Karen Nakia was, I did get Stan. I had dinner with him. I did have dinner with Nicole Nichols. And also had dinner with, why can I not remember the man's name? He is the English voice actor for Yusuke Urameshi.
Oh, Justin Cook.
Yes, I got to have dinner with him at MomoCon, and then he got a couple of the other voice actors to join us.
Justin Cook is such an amazing man. I love
He is
that
such
man.
a sweetheart. And literally, it was just, he was standing in line for a table with the attendees, like he was like nobody. And then I saw him and I was like, hey, are you trying to get food? We have space at my table. It's me and one of my friends. And he was like, no, that's all right. And I was like, no, you're more than welcome. He's like, well, I have a couple people that's joining me. I'm like, we got space. So that's how they end up joining us. And we were hearing stories. And he even called while we were there, the voice actor for Genkai. And the energy between the two of them is still like how it is on the show. Like literally she answered the phone and she's like, what you want, idiot?
So
And it's just like, y'all have that natural Genkai. Use that energy even after all these years. He's like, yeah, I get Christmas cards to my favorite idiot.
I had dinner with maybe lunch or I don't remember if it was lunch or dinner, but it was with Todd Habercorn and a couple of other voice actors. So that was a fun time. And yes, Mikey, I will always brag about that to you because I know it's going to irk you to no end.
Yeah, I ended up once, granted it was completely by accident and unexpected, but when I was at Power Morphicon in 2018 with our other podcaster, Anthony, we went to this steakhouse. No, I think it was a steakhouse to get dinner. And Jordy Weber, who plays Levi Weston, the Gold Ninja Steel Ranger, yeah, he was eating there too when he decided to come and sit with us because he recognized us from the con. And so, yeah, that was a pretty fun experience, especially since the fall. It was either the day after or the day after, or the day after that. We shared a plane ride to the hotel, to the airport. Not a plane ride, a bus ride to the airport. With Davey Santos, who played Ivan in Dino Charge, and Dobby was all like, "Oh yeah, you're the guys that Jordy said he had dinner with. Yeah, he said that you guys were pretty awesome fans, and he was pretty thankful for that."
Nice,
So,
nice.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
Also, I'm kind of jealous of Chris for getting lunch with Zach Goodsman because that guy is so chill and fun to talk to.
Yes, he
I
is.
love
He's
Zach.
so nice. Yes.
Like he's just so down to earth and real.
Yes.
I had a good long talk with him. I think at 24 or 23. I don't remember what year, but
okay.
It was just a really good down to earth talk. No, sorry, I'm not going to say anything bad, Mark. I caught myself. But, so it was just a fun time, and I appreciate when the actors are like down to earth like that.
And he honestly, after I met him once, he's probably a much more talented actor than I give him credit for. Because here's the thing, he is nothing like Danny. Danny is like this timid, very passive, he doesn't really talk. He's very gentle and all that. He is a very talkative person, always wanting to get people's attention. According to this one story that Jessica Ray loves to tell everyone, he had this thing where he was wearing his headphones and accidentally got into a shot while he was listening to music. So he's a very funny person. He's an awesome person to talk to.
Okay, so step 1, Riz must acquire a kid. Step 2, Riz must get an Iron Bison cosplay for said kid. Step 3, Riz must bring said kid to RangerStop Pop, where Zach Goodsman might be this year, because he's not announced it, but he probably will be there, because he's there every year. Step 4,
he lives in Buckhead, which is not too far from Atlanta.
Wait, he does?
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
That's what he told me when I met him.
He moved to Atlanta last year.
Yeah, he's in Atlanta. Yeah. So that's my path to get lunch with Zach Goodsman. Got it. I have 5 months to find a kid and a cosplay, but I can make that happen.
You know what? We should hit up our good friend Kevlock, TikToker, because Chris Dunn got his Iron Bison helmet from Kevlock, so maybe you can get one from him and have the same experience Chris got to have. I'm so jealous of y'all. All y'all got to have dinner with someone famous. I've yet to do that. The closest I've gotten to was being in the same restaurant when RJ at RangerStop Pop 2023, when RJ the Blue Mighty Morphin Ranger from the 2017 movie, him and his crew was there in Metro Cafe. Me and my crew was there in Metro Cafe on the higher level. And as we walking out, they're walking in or they're waiting, and I was too chicken to say anything, but we crossed paths and that was it. So on my bucket list for this year, dinner with Power Rangers.
Yes.
I mean, look, here's a plan, Mark, and I've already told you this plan several times.
Okay.
We are all gonna go to the RangerStop Pop dinner Saturday night.
We are.
And we're gonna hang out with the cool actors and have a party and just have a fun time. All right.
Okay.
That way, we all can say we've had dinner with some Rangers at that point. You're not gonna be left out
There you
anymore.
go.
Hint. The VIP dinner is a must-do.
Yes.
Hint. I've already told you how you can get in there, Mark.
We talked about it. We're doing it, but still, I wanted to have my experience outside of RSP too with the same thing. But I'm just being super picky and nerdy.
Yeah,
that's all.
Well, you wouldn't be Mark if you weren't. So that's fine.
That's true. I gotta have my nerdum. I gotta have my nerdum in the way that I want it. Like, don't get me wrong, I have some amazing stories. I got to meet Stan Lee too. I definitely know he does that wandering around the con thing. He disappeared that one year. And I was like, Jesus, did Spider-Man swing him away after I got my picture? But
no, he is
usually when his handler or security finally find him and they grab him.
His handler was with him, and his handler was so upset. He was so upset, but Stan Lee wanted to get the picture done.
And they can't do nothing about it because he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
That's true.
The Supreme Attorney said, "Just make it happen, Mark."
I will just make it happen.
Yes.
There you go,
Miss Supreme Attorney.
I don't know who that is, but I'm assuming it's one of your fans.
You're about to see a lot of her because a lot of my episodes coming up for the rest of Black History Month have her in it, and she's a nut.
Supreme Attorney.
But yeah, Supreme Attorney, I'm gonna make it happen. I gotta stop being scared. Like, I don't get starstruck unless it's a Power Ranger.
Yes.
Then I'm just like, oh my God, the 6-year-old in me just cannot contain itself. So that's the problem.
I gotta have her come on my show.
The only time I've ever really been starstruck was when I met my first and second celebrity that I was really interested in meeting. That'd be Jason David Frank, many eons ago, and then Johnny Young Boss a couple years after.
Yes.
After that, I can meet anyone, big celebrity, small celebrity. I never get stage fright anymore. Even when I met Ryota Ozawa, who is Captain Marvelous, never a little bit nervous. I was just still hanging out, being fun, whatever. So it just takes time, Mark, to kind of get over the fact that, hey, these people are just people like us, and just have fun with them.
No, I know that. I've gotten to know Roy Travis very well by just doing the cosplay show that year at RSP. I've hung out with my fair share of people and things like that. Again, Stan Lee. Again, Jason David Frank.
Yes.
He makes you feel like you're the only person that matters. When I met him at Dragon Con 2017, and I'm just some sweaty, nerdy kid just trying to give him some stuff that he probably has 10,000 times of. But the fact that he sat there and made me feel special, gave me free autographs and stuff. Like, matter of fact, right here, he signed this hat. I just happened to wear it when I went to go see him, and he took it off my head, signed it, put it back on my head. I'm like, but it's all sweaty and you signed it, but all right, thank you. And he signed a bunch of other stuff, but like rest in power, Jason David Frank. Like, you are so sadly missed.
I lost track of the conversation where this is input into the chat, but Supreme Attorney said stop being a bitch, and I'm assuming that's to you, Mark.
Yes.
Language.
Yeah, she's talking to Mark. Yes.
Bitch.
Yeah, she's talking to me.
Word.
You gotta beep.
She's
you gotta beep it out.
But again, thank you all for coming on. I know we had a bunch of other questions, but like, we started late and we're running late, so we're gonna go ahead and end the show. Miss Dana, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at on the interwebs yet again?
All right. Well, you can find me. Supreme Attorney said she edited it. As far as you can find me Danique Events on all social media platforms, along with Danique Cosplay. Also, you can also follow my show, Moana Nui Podcast, Moana, like the movie, Nui N-U-I Podcast, on all social media platforms. You can watch, we stream live. And then, of course, we have some pre-recorded that's typically anything at a con because internet is not reliable. So we don't go live at cons. But yeah, we have a variety of topics we talk about. And of course, the BOP, the BOP podcast on all social media podcast platforms, Facebook, YouTube. Well, they're not on all social media platforms. They're Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And you can engage in the conversation, of course, with Karen, Hilton, and Christy. For those who don't know who Christy is, I forgot to give that tidbit. Christy and Karen before Karen became a Power Ranger, was part of a group together called Crush. They were an R&B group together. So that they are two of the three members of Crush. So she's got her fellow Crush member as part of the BOP with her.
That's actually my favorite Karen Ashley fact, was that before Power Rangers, she was in a girl group in the 90s. And we almost had her be the TLC of the 90s.
Very much. Yes, she was produced by Jimmy Jam and Cherry Lewis when they were part of Crush. So she got to act, because they're part of that brand, she got to hang out with Janet Jackson and stuff.
So yeah, that's definitely 100% my favorite Karen Ashley fact. For anyone keeping score for the quiz that's coming later.
Yes, Chris, check out the Mo Money soundtrack. They are on the Mo Money soundtrack.
All right, so Nate, Riz, go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you on the internet. Then I'll cover Carnell and do my spiel at the end.
Okay, so I'm going to do a couple things here, Mark, real quick at the end. First, check us out at animesecrets.org. We have a couple of podcasts. Toku Secrets Podcast, which is our tokusatsu podcast covering Super Sentai, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, some Godzilla stuff every now and then. We have another podcast called Anime Declassified for all things anime. Nate and I co-host another podcast called The Jedi Squadron, where we talk all things Star Wars. We also host something called the Fandom Toy Box on YouTube, which is a toy review thing that some of our staff does. And also, I do want to take a moment, Mark, to kind of plug next month RangerStop Pop's content from our creative group. Because next month it'll be Anime Secrets' turn to take the stage and do something. Okay. So stay tuned to our channel because we are planning a fun trivia contest.
Okay.
Along with some other fun stuff. So definitely keep a lookout for that. Keep a lookout for Toku Secrets. We're going to be dropping our next podcast tomorrow. Sorry, Aka Eagle, we're not going to tell you what it is. You just got to wait and see. And with that, also, yeah, thanks, Aka. I'll give you credit for this one. Check out our Discord. I'll drop a link in the comments down below so you can check it out, and so when it's there. But yeah, so Mark, I'll let you do Carnell, close out, and we can hit the road and have an after party.
All right. So again, Carnell works overnight like I do. I'm just happen to be off tonight, but he had to go ahead and head to work. But please check out Carnell Holley Pictures on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. He is everywhere. He recently did an interview with our special guest, Miss Dana, at DreamHack. I definitely recommend you go ahead and check that video out because it's just a little tidbit. Dana, it is fun having you on as a guest because of everything that you do, but seeing you actually do press yourself is a whole other beast I have yet to kind of experience. So I'm waiting to cover convention with press alongside with you. But again, check out Carnell Holley interview with Miss Dana Morgan at DreamHack. It was amazing. Like you got to be like a bee and just go around everywhere and just just zip. There you go, zip. There you go. Because you're just everywhere.
Hey, I can't give up my secrets of how I end up everywhere, but I'm there.
Dana has her magic.
Yes.
Yeah. She's doing shadow clone jutsu. I swear to God, she's doing shadow clone jutsu to get all this stuff done. I don't understand how you do it.
I mean, hey, it happens.
Mm-hmm. I can't give out the secrets because the government's watching. I see you, my Secret Service person.
But everybody else, this has been BLERDKAST. You can couple of housekeeping notes. First of all, channel's monetized again, finally. Yay, that's fun. So if you want to support Blerdography, you can do so by becoming a channel member by hitting the join button that's right down here. Hit join. You can do it right now and become a member, get early access to my upcoming videos. You can get exclusive perks. You can get lives like this that are member only, and so much more. You can also support the channel by leaving gifts and thanks in the comments and things like that, and supporting the channel on Patreon. I do have a Patreon. It's been there since the beginning. As soon as I get one person on it, I'll start posting more stuff on it. Yes. But you can find BLERDKAST everywhere you listen to your podcast: Spotify, Apple Music, Google, Kindle, and so many other places. And you can find Blerdography literally everywhere on the internet. I have Lemonade, Fanbase, Red Note, or Shaoxing Shu, TikTok, everything, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Blerdography is everywhere.
There you go.
I don't have an ending to this particular episode other than trying to tease
asked
my
if I was a mystic force. Maybe, maybe not. To be determined.
A ranger cannot reveal their identity, Mikey. Come on.
Because if I do, there's going to be some random people that can show up at your door, and then they're going to have to take you away because you found out the secret.
Now, I will say, I have never seen Dana in the same room as the Mystic Force Rangers.
That is true.
So, I mean, I don't know.
That is true. But I'm going to tease my next show. And I'm going to kind of tease it because I'm still working on it. But the next episode of BLERDKAST will have a lot of yellow energy in it. And I'm going to leave it at that. See y'all later.